Hello everyone, it's me, Anime8Ball. This might surprise some of you in that I've never done a video in person like this before. Well, I thought it'd be appropriate for having a heart-to-heart talk with you all. For a while now I've been thinking about the cartoon reviewing community, my approach to reviewing, and animation in general. So I'm here to discuss with you folks some of the issues I have with this community. Some of us wonder why the cartoon community never seems to mature. That everyone's just constantly regurgitating the same ideas over and over, and it's all laced with so much drama. I'd say it's because cartoon reviewing is often approached with an immature mentality. Many cartoon reviews are too emotionally charged, so much so that exaggerated outrage is a norm in this community. Back when I made my review of the Powerpuff Girls reboot, some folks responded to it like I was some kind of anomaly, that talking about a negatively received cartoon in a calm fashion was equivalent to being an unfeeling robot. Obviously, all my videos are scripted, including this one, but this calm demeanor reflects who I am and how I actually talk. I'm a real person, not a caricature of one. With the rise of Channel Awesome, people began to conflate real reviews with riffs. Guilty as charged. The Nostalgia Critic, the Cinema Snob, Phalus, and all the other personalities like them aren't really reviewers. They're riffers. Riffs are made for the purpose of being comedic and are typically not meant to be taken seriously. There have even been moments where riffers have acknowledged this on their own shows.
What the hell is this? Does that lizard have blush on? I am so genuinely fucking pissed right now.
Acting surprised that Kirk Cameron said something crazy is like watching a riff show where two people dress as Mario and Luigi and beat the shit out of a Jesus Santa hybrid, and then being surprised when it isn't a proper analytical review of the film.
Now, I'm not saying review videos shouldn't have a little entertainment value. My issue is that too often, cartoon reviews here put excessive emphasis on humor, particularly the snarky kind. Analysis ends up falling by the wayside. When I think about reviewing animation, it's more than just stating opinions or harping on inane, nitpicky details. And it's more than trying to sound like the funniest person in the lunchroom. It's treating animation like an art form. It's asking how do all these elements, from the animation style to the story to the cinematography, work or not work together. Going back to my PPG review, there was another comment that stood out to me. It said I was being too objective. I'm sorry, what does that mean? Are reviewers supposed to let bias influence their judgment? Many reviews in this community suffer from being way too subjective. People think that because art is open to interpretation, the rants and raves of any fan have the same amount of insight as an analysis put forward by someone who's studied the craft. To me that says, we're just talking about cartoons. There's not that much thought put into them. Just because quote-unquote everyone's entitled to their opinion, doesn't mean everyone's opinion is well-informed. Also, people generally take it too personally when they think their feelings on an animation are being challenged. Just because I thought your name was overrated doesn't invalidate people's enjoyment of it. While we're on this, a lot of cartoon reviews talk surprisingly little about the actual animation, instead favoring story as the subject. Story is important in animation, there's no doubt about that. But to focus almost exclusively on plot and character, while glancing over everything else, is treating animation like a genre instead of a medium. Folks who are experts in animation are called experts for a reason. They know and understand the intricacies of the art form that most people don't know or understand. And learning about animation involves more than just watching a lot of cartoons. You have to do your homework. I'm by no means an expert in the field, but I'm confident that my education and further studies allows me to pick up on things that average fans would overlook. Full disclosure, I honestly find it insulting when so many people take cartoon reviewers seriously when the reviewer in question displays minimal knowledge of the art form. Prime example? Mr. Enter. Look, before anyone starts blowing up the comments section, whether or not you like his content is beside the point I'm about to make. Mr. Enter is one of the biggest names in this community, and his claim to fame was pretty similar to mine in 2012. I was just a butthurt fan raging into a microphone who gained notoriety by validating the pre-existing opinions of a ton of like-minded fans, many of whom were impressionable children. I avoided watching his content for a long time, but when I finally took the plunge, I was infuriated by what I saw. For example, his review of the Courage the Cowardly Dog episode, The Mask, was essentially a plot summary with a couple brief points thrown in. This particular point stuck out to me.
Abusive relationships really do happen like this.
You'd think a point like that would lead into more discussion. What's the episode saying about relationship abuse? Does it handle the topic well? Do the character designs help illustrate the point? Well, that didn't happen. The point went no further than saying that abusive relationships exist. Despite mostly sounding like someone narrating a plot synopsis off Wikipedia, people still deemed it an insightful review. This is like a kind of false credibility. People assume reviewers know what they're talking about so long as they say what the audience wants to hear, and maybe point out one thing that kids wouldn't pick up on. It's one thing to have opinions that line up with popular consensus. I have some of those myself. However, there's a difference between going in depth about why a work is great and just pandering to popular opinions. Folks want this community to change for the better, but it's not going to without action. Take it from someone with a long history of running in circles. Whining about the same thing happening over and over isn't going to break the cycle. Rather than feeding into the preconception that cartoon reviews are mostly there to be funny and don't require much thought, it's up to the reviewers to cultivate a curious, thoughtful audience. Frankly, I see a stark difference between the audience I have now, which includes some of you watching, versus the one I had in 2012. Whereas my current audience is generally open and receptive, the other was divisive and volatile. As they say, you reap what you sow. Now, if you're an animation fan in this community, don't be afraid to explore something new. If all you do is stay inside the cramped mainstream bubble, you're gonna miss out on a lot of great animation. And remember, don't take disagreements personally. Discussions aren't much without opposing viewpoints. And this conclusion is kind of abrupt, but that's really all I had to say. So, yeah. Well, thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you at the next upload. Later!